The New England Patriots got their guy despite everybody else's best attempt to move them off their pick at number 3 and move into another spot. But they said, no, Drake Maye is our quarterback. We want him to be our quarterback. And they stood pat. You see what I did there? I'm so sorry. That is so dumb. So cheesy. But they absolutely stood pat with the number 3 pick. And after the second preseason game against the Philadelphia Eagles, we are now starting to see why exactly they stood firm in keeping the number 3 overall pick. I think it just absolutely makes sense. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look into Drake Maye. We're going to look into the performance that he had. We're going to see what his coach said about him. We're going to go to an offensive coordinator from years past to see what he thinks they should be doing with Drake Maye's development. And then we are going to talk about that trade that the Patriots turned down in order to keep Maye, and it proves why they kind of stole the draft because they stood pat and they kept their guy. So if you have not yet heard or if you have not yet seen the game, Drake Maye had a much better game in the second preseason game. In fact, almost all the points that the Patriots scored were the 2 quarters that he was in. They would have scored more if it was not for a drop. So here is his stat line. He went 6 of 11 for 47 yards with an average of 4.3 yards per attempt. All right, not per completion. Took 1 sack and had an okay rating. All right, he also ran the ball 4 times for 15 yards and a touchdown. All right, so here's one thing that people forget about Drake Maye is that he is absolutely athletic. Everybody talks about the mobility of Caleb Williams. Everybody talks about the elite athleticism of Jaden Daniels. But people don't talk about the fact that the 3rd most athletic quarterback, and by the way, if you line them up for a 40-yard dash, I bet Drake Maye's actually faster than Caleb Williams. People don't talk about the fact that he's a guy who's 6'4". He's over 220 pounds. He has the prototype size for the NFL, and he is absolutely mobile. He's absolutely mobile, so he can beat you with his legs, and he showed that in the preseason game. That is why his learning curve, I don't think, is as severe as some people think, because people, I think they want to just label him as a pocket passing quarterback. He's not a pocket passing quarterback. In fact, we know what he did through the air, but when he was at North Carolina in year 2, when he started, he ran the ball 184 times for 698 yards. Now, remember, sacks go against that, so that average isn't 3.8. Like, that's outside of being sacked. All right? In last year, he ran the ball significantly less, a little more effective, for 449 yards. This is a guy who ran for over 1,200 yards at the college level. So you can't sit here and tell me he's not a guy that can run the football. He's also a guy that threw for 4,300 yards in his second year, and last year in his third year for 3,600 yards. New offense, new receivers, new offensive coordinator. We all know he went down a little bit. What you're looking at is second-year sophomore film. That's what you want to see when you're looking at him. So what did Coach Jared Mayo say about Drake Maye? He said, for starters, he definitely took a step forward in the team's 14-13 preseason loss. All right? Maye has begun as the number 2 option, behind Jacoby Brissett, who Mayo said is the team's most pro-ready quarterback. All right, if you watch the game, one looked pro-ready, and it was the rookie. Jacoby Brissett was very, very, very bad. All right, in the most recent game, and his numbers back it up. He was 3 for 7 for 17 yards and an interception. If the DB had any wheels, he probably could have taken it to the house. It could have been a pick 6, 95 yards the other way. Well, actually, it would have been over 100 yards because he picked it off in the end zone. But also, he made another mistake on a throw that should have been an interception. He looked rattled. He looked frazzled. It wasn't good. Drake Maye came in, and everything calmed down. How awesome is that to see? And it was also nice for them to actually let Maye play. All right, it was nice of them to let him play. All right, Jared Mayo also said things. He said, stepping up into pressure. I thought he did a better job overall with using his legs and really extending plays. Adding to that, a point of emphasis to improve is running the entire offensive operation faster. That's what they need. It needs to be faster. He said, I think the entire offense definitely needs to continue to play and continue to gel, and that's what we're going to do. But the most important thing is what he said right here. It says, we have 3 more days of training camp practices, and it's our job as coaches to evaluate, and the competition isn't over. He's talking about the quarterbacks. They have to show not only themselves and the coaches, but also their teammates. So what he's saying is that this competition is far from over. That Maye absolutely is in line and has the ability to win the starting job. And I have gotten to the point where I think the only reason he wouldn't get the starting job is because they're afraid of putting him in a bad situation, especially after seeing what happened to your last quarterback and the regression that happened there after year 1. This is a porous offensive line. All right, I think it's better than it was last year, but can the offensive line step up and can they have good protection? It is a very young receiving core. The talent is there, but it's young. All right, the talent's there, but it's young. And the other players, the other wide receivers that have a little more experience are okay. As evidenced by a beautifully thrown 45-yard deep ball over the middle by Drake Maye to Javon Baker, who seemed like he had everything secured up. It seemed like he had the catch. He did everything right. The ball just popped out on him. He had another catch for 12 yards, Javon Baker, but he even bobbled that one too. We know Javon Baker can stretch the field. The question is, can he be a reliable receiving source? All right, Demario Douglas, we got all that kind of stuff. There are players, but I think that's the issue. And that's where you have a former coach, Bill O'Brien, saying that in the first game they did him a disservice. Drake Maye, that is. He said preseason games, I'll just be honest with you, they don't really mean a whole lot, O'Brien said during a recent appearance. All right, he said the reason why I say that is that both sides of the ball in preseason aren't really doing a whole lot. For that reason alone, you should probably try to get, in my opinion, a rookie quarterback a bunch of reps because you're playing pretty vanilla offense and defense. He added, I don't think there's any other way to learn than by actually doing it. I don't think you learn by standing next to the coach on the sideline. I actually don't agree with that. All right, he said, I think you actually learn by going out there and experiencing it and dealing with the pressures and dealing with the different things that are getting ready for a game. And then the bland vanilla-ness of the offense in the preseason is absolutely something that is helpful. So Bill O'Brien thinks they should play him. He's not a coach for you anymore, so it doesn't matter. But there is something to that. We all want to see our future in the preseason, and there's no reason not to play them. I know part of the reason not to play him, he said, in the first preseason game, it was raining, it was nasty. It's not a good place to put him out under a lot of snaps, and they were worried about the offensive line. They're trying to keep him upright and healthy too. So I think if they believe that this, one of two things, if the offensive line is good enough to give him enough protection, he will play this year. That is Drake Maye. I think the other thing is if the defense is good enough to keep them in games and they feel like they have just enough weapons that they can actually compete to win this year, Drake Maye will also be able to play because based on what we've seen, he gives the team a better chance. I'm not saying Jacoby Brissett isn't a good quarterback. I'm not saying that. He is a quality backup quarterback. He is. He's not bad. But the offense just looks better under Drake Maye. Isn't that as simple as it can be? Isn't that an okay thing? All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Really hope that you enjoy this. If you're still listening, you got to like it a little bit. So hit that subscribe button. We love the NFL. We love talking football. We are Lions fans. You see the stuff back there. But we do. We just love talking ball. So if you want more Patriots content, like every single day, go to Sports Talk Patriots. That's another channel on our network of channels. Aaron's over there doing a great job talking Patriots football every single day, and he knows a lot more about the Pats than I do. I am just an NFL fan. He watches them all the time. So anyways, hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully it's a good non-biased view, and we'll see you on the next one.